morning and welcome to Morning Movie News. First off, for all of you on the East Coast, please be careful this weekend with the storm that's coming. I saw a funny graphic someone posted saying it should be really called Snowzilla because it has basically his blue atomic breath on the weather map. I thought that was hilarious. But anyway, be careful, stay inside, stock up on snacks and movies, and just have a nice snow day. A safe, nice snow day. But anyway, we're going to get on to today's three stories in just a moment. But speaking of snow and hazardous conditions, don't forget that right now the Dolby Atmos giveaway for those 2 copies of Everest is currently going on. And you have until the end of the day, Sunday, to tweet your entry. So that's something you could do if you're snowed in. You could come up with a reason as to why you would want to climb Mount Everest. That's how you enter. You have to tweet me at Grace Randolph, and you have to include the hashtag Dolby Atmos and the hashtag Everest. And then with the remaining characters, tell me why you would climb Mount Everest. I already have some fabulous entries, but there's always room for more. You might be able to knock somebody out of the top 2, and the top 2 will get a free Blu-ray of the movie Everest from our friends at Dolby Atmos. So I'm excited to pick the winners. You guys always make it very challenging, so I look forward to more of those tweets throughout today and the weekend. All right, so anyway, let's get on to today's top news stories. A little slow, it's January, but we do have some casting news, which is going to take up most of the episode. Now, the first one is that they have cast Wong in the upcoming Doctor Strange movie. I wanted to see Wong. I think a number of you wanted to see Wong, but one of the reasons I was excited to see Wong is that I would love to see the movie do something really interesting with the character, because he's never really made his mark in the comics. He's been a character with a lot of potential, but he's really just a stereotype. I've talked about how it's based on the Peter Sellers thing, also Green Hornet. There's a history of that, Asian assistant who helps you with your fighting practice, I guess. But I think interestingly, Kato outshined the Green Hornet multiple times, played by Bruce Lee, and then when he was in the recent Seth Rogen movie, very well done. And then in the Peter Sellers movie, really just a nameless assistant, but still. But anyway, they've gone in a very different direction, but I don't know if this is the right one. I'm surprised, for Wong opposite Benedict Cumberbatch. And they've actually cast Benedict Wong. Maybe that's how he got the role. I've seen people comment on the fact that you have 2 Wongs, because his name is Wong and he's playing Wong. And then you have Wong and Doctor Strange are both named Benedict in real life. So that's certainly very interesting. But you will know him from The Martian. That's how I know him. I thought he did a very good job with the small part. He really made an impression. So I can see why they would cast him to some degree. And then there's Marco Polo, the Netflix series, which did okay. I think there was rumors of it being renewed for a second season, although we have not seen that second season or heard anything about it after, them discussing potentially doing it. So I guess he's available. But anyway, I think that's a very interesting choice. Obviously, he's much bigger than you would imagine Wong to be, so it really kind of makes you question what role he'll play to Doctor Strange, right? I hope it's more of a partner than a manservant, because that's really an antiquated idea at this point. Also, I don't want him to just be like Doctor Strange's Jarvis, right? Although Jarvis has become quite independent himself these days, not only as the Vision, the AI transitioning to the Vision in the movies, but then, of course, on Agent Carter, I'm really enjoying that version of the character as well. I'm also thinking that because they've cast Benedict Wong so late in the game, that the character Wong doesn't come into the movie maybe towards the end. They're like, who am I going to work with? Wong! Or he runs into this guy and he's like, we should team up, or something like that. But I'm curious, what do you think of I think that Benedict Wong is such an interesting choice. I don't think Benedict Wong is going to sell any movie tickets. It's not like you're going to see Vin Diesel hiring Tony Jaa from Thailand. That would be an interesting choice for Wong, or getting Donnie Yen, although he, of course, is going to be in Star Wars, so I guess Disney. But I mean, he's already in the Disney family, right? Sorry, Donnie Yen. So I feel that it's an interesting way to go with the character. It must be a small role, because why wouldn't you get an action star in there who could maybe really make it interesting? I don't know. Maybe none of those guys would take the role, but I think it's a step up for Benedict Wong, but we'll see what it says about the character in general and how the movie turns out. So speaking of Tony Jaa, XXx 3, the return of Xander Cage, is beginning to shape up with the cast. I think the movie is really an odd situation for Vin Diesel. Now, when I reviewed The Last Witch Hunter, I talked about the fact that Vin Diesel is very eager to get himself another franchise. He doesn't know if Fast and Furious can last forever, and also he just wants to diversify his portfolio. That makes sense. He doesn't want to only rely on one thing. Although, I have to say, people sometimes will complain about only being known for one thing. You should be grateful to be known for anything, especially something as iconic as the Fast and Furious franchise. A lot of actors and a lot of people out there are never known for anything, and I'm sure would gladly switch places with Vin Diesel, even if they're only known for one measly, multi-billion-dollar franchise. But anyway, Vin Diesel. His thirst for success is not quenched, so he feels he can get this XXX franchise back on track. Now, they made the sequel without him. I believe, I forgot to look this up. I believe Ice Cube was the lead there. But anyway, now he's back. And the first one was just such a mess that it actually kind of derailed Vin Diesel's career. And that's why he went back to the Fast and Furious franchise. So we'll see if he can put together a better movie here. Now, on the one hand, Samuel L. Jackson is returning. DJ Caruso will be directing. And he did Eagle Eye and Disturbia. For a while, he and Shia LaBeouf were a great package. But then he kind of tanked his career with I Am Number 4. So, Vin Diesel was able to get, I think, a pretty solid action director on the cheap. Eagle Eye was like a really solid movie. Disturbia, I have mixed feelings about because it was a ripoff of Rear Window. But anyway, one of my favorite movies of all time. But the cast is coming together, and I think while it's very business savvy in terms of demographics worldwide, I feel like he's cannibalizing Fast and Furious a little bit with the casting, because Fast and Furious is such a multicultural affair. So who is cast? Well, Tony Jaa has joined the cast. He's from Thailand. He was also in Fast and Furious 7. He was that bad guy who just really was like after Paul Walker. Remember? Like I felt like in a little bit too much. I was like, chill, dude. He was like, I recently saw In the Heart of the Sea, and it was like he was that jerk whale. You're like, you're just a jerk, man. You won. Leave me alone. But anyway, he did a nice job, and I thought his action sequences were well done in Furious 7. So then also Jet Li, obviously taking care of the China market. Then an Indian actress, Deepika Padukone. Sorry, I apologize. I'm sure I mangled her name. Then also Ruby Rose, a breakout actress from Orange is the New Black. And then also Conor McGregor, who is a UK mixed martial arts fighter. And then rounding out the cast will also be Nina Dobrev from The Vampire Diaries. So I think that, she obviously seems very much like a Jordana Brewster type character, right? So I think Vin Diesel has his formula. But if I were, the people behind Fast and Furious, and one of those people is Vin Diesel, I'd still be like, I know that you want to have more than one franchise, but I think you're just kind of going to dilute Fast and Furious's power by making like an echo of it, a duplicate. So we'll see. I'm curious, does anyone even want a XXX? I think The Last Witch Hunter was such a horrible flop. The trailer would have to be absolutely amazing. But, I don't know if anybody wants to see Vin Diesel in anything besides Fast and Furious. He might want to consider television, like a really good cable drama or a Netflix show. But I think that making like Fast and Furious light isn't the way to go. So anyway, I'm curious your thoughts on how XXX3 is shaping up. Now, for the third story of the day, Daisy Ridley made a lot of headlines yesterday when she was announced that she would be executive producing a documentary that's at Sundance right now called The Eagle Huntress. And this is about a young girl in Mongolia who wants to become an eagle hunter, which is apparently like a tradition, thousands of years old tradition in Mongolia, but they've never had any women. Although if you're watching the Shannara Chronicles, maybe if she does become an eagle huntress, she will unleash a horrible evil on the land. But anyway, I couldn't believe they did that in Shannara Chronicles. But anyway, I think that while it's an interesting documentary, and Daisy Ridley said she was quite moved when she saw it, I would caution Daisy Ridley against becoming like a poster woman for girl power, right? Especially with so many people calling her character Rey in Star Wars: The Force Awakens a Mary Sue. And I think she was a Mary Sue, as we've discussed before. Not in a horribly negative way that made you dislike the character, but, I think it's important to be like, I really liked Rey, but she was kind of a Mary Sue, right? It doesn't do anybody any favors to live in denial. And I hope that that's something that's fixed a little bit going forward. I mean, as I said, and this is a spoiler if you haven't seen The Force Awakens yet, so you might want to skip ahead to the viewer question right now. Still here? As I said, anyone who gets to be both the Jedi and the new captain of the Millennium Falcon, that's like too much. That's an embarrassment of riches. It's ridiculous. She can't have everything Star Wars. It's just not fair. She has to share. So anyway, I'm curious, what do you think of how Daisy Ridley is shaping her persona? Someone has asked before on this show, what about Daisy Ridley's future as an actress? We know, what kind of roles do you think she'll get? And I think that, so far she's just doing this and a voice on a Studio Ghibli picture. So, I think that's all very admirable, but I think, if I were Daisy Ridley, I'd be careful. I think she wants to make sure she seems like a lot of fun, right? If you seem like too feminist, you seem a little bit too, cultural, I think that could end up rubbing people the wrong way. All right, she's seemed like a lot of fun in all of her interviews that she's done. So we'll see what happens. And I loved her Rey, but I'd be like, try to make sure you seem very balanced. You don't want to just, make feminism be your thing. All right, so those are the 3 stories of the day. Now, as for the viewer question, I thought this was a really important one. This comes from Nitro Gaming DK. And Nitro Gaming says, hello there, Grace. Long-time viewer, but first-time commenting. I love those. Smiley face. I'm from Denmark, and I'm currently in high school. In Denmark, it's 3 years, and I'm in my second. What? Just 3 years of high school? Do you make up the other year somewhere else? That's crazy. But anyway, Nitro Gaming says, I really want to do something with movies, and I just wanted to hear if a foreigner can become a producer, or rather, what does it require to become a producer? I know there's an education for becoming a producer in Denmark, but it's really difficult to become part of the education. But what are the normal requirements? Smiley face, I hope I explained myself. Haha. Another smiley face. You did, Nitro Gaming. I totally get what you're going for. And I think that one of the reasons I wanted to answer this is because I think that a number of BTT viewers are from overseas who want to partake in the filmmaking industry. So I wanted to address, the likelihood of coming here to Hollywood. Now, the first thing I want to say is you don't necessarily have to come here to Hollywood, at least not right away. Plenty of people, and this is especially so as the film industries of other countries begin to catch up with Hollywood, a lot of people make their mark in their home country, and then they're able to cross over to Hollywood with a little bit more clout, right? So that's always one way to go. But of course, it's very hard to not only make movies anywhere, but to make them to a degree that you stand out on the world stage. So that's a high bar, but it's certainly something that you could do. So you could certainly pursue a career of producing in Denmark, and then after a couple of years, if you have a success factor, you could maybe start going to Hollywood, maybe make a film that goes on the festival circuit. You could, go advance your career in that way. Now, if you want to become a producer in Hollywood right away, and they hire a lot of them, you don't have to be like the producer on a film. There's certainly a lot of opportunities for producers in Hollywood on TV, movies, a lot of different places. You could go to school. You could, decide to transfer or, apply to a U.S. film school, one that has producing classes. There are always a number of really great lists of film schools. You could Google, I'll put it in the video description. I've done this before. The Hollywood Reporter recently released the top film schools, not only in the United States, but a list of top film schools overseas. So I'll put those down there. So you would want to attend one of those schools. But if you want to come to the United States, because if you want to work in the United States, go to a school in California if you can, or New York. And I say that especially if you want to be a suit, I would especially recommend California because you want to get an internship, so you can get a foot in the door. So go to USC, UCLA, one of those schools. Just get to California. But make sure that you're doing it with school, because then you'll have room and board and support system, etc. So anyway, what is the education? Yeah, you have to take producing classes because you have to learn about the different aspects, not only how to make a movie, and in film school, if you want to be a producer, you will produce student films. But you have to learn, for instance, box office, those rules. You have to learn all the different, ins and outs of the industry. I hope I'm able to help a little bit with the discussions here on the show. But that's really what the education is. Also, there are a number of really good producing books. I would pick those up as well. And also, I think a really good way to become a successful producer is just to make sure that you're worldly and that you have a good business sense. You'll want to take some business classes as well, but you'll want to be someone who is able to negotiate. You'll want to be someone who is even-tempered, who is able to observe things and then make an informed decision, right away sometimes if you have to, or also know when you have the time to wait to make that decision. I guess you really want to be savvy. So you really want to try thinking about that kind of a thing. And that's where reading books on producing helps. Hearing other people's stories, their anecdotes, that's all really great. So I would also pick out some really famous producers working now and back in the day, also maybe some in Denmark, and see what their life stories are. How did they succeed? No path to success, no two paths to success are the same, but it doesn't hurt to get ideas from other people. So read their biographies, follow their careers, see what their first movies were. I think that's do some detective work. Trying to just decide what some paths into the industry are, and if they suit you, and how you can maybe borrow a little bit from here, borrow a little bit from there, and making your own game plan. And then, as I always say, you always want to have a backup career, not only in case things don't work out, but also to support you while you're trying to get a career in the arts. It takes time to break in, so you want to make sure you have some kind of income coming in. For instance, when I was starting this channel, beyond the trailer, I was able to support myself with comic book writing. So that's really important to, and also that's why you want to sometimes operate on multiple tracks if you want to be in a creative industry, because you never know which one's going to work out. You never know what order they're going to work out in, and then again, they can help each other. All right, so I hope that advice is helpful to you, Nitro Gaming. I think it's very exciting that you want to make movies with your life. I think that's a really admirable goal, and I hope that I've helped you not only be able to pursue it, but to pursue it in a realistic fashion. All right, good luck. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Write down what you think of today's top 3 stories and that viewer question if you have any advice for Nitro Gaming or any experiences to share yourself. And then don't forget to enter for that one of those 2 Everest Blu-ray copies. All right, thanks for watching. Bye.